Hello everybody and welcome back to Performance on Wheels. This is the 2023 Toyota GR Corolla, which is probably the greatest hatch ever produced since the Ford Focus RS.
Yeah, definitely a small market here, but when it comes out, us auto enthusiasts get truly excited. Today we give a quick look on the things we notice and love about the GR Corolla.
Touchdown to Heathrow, DP and me, bro. About to hit the club and turn the shoot to a freak show. Look through the peephole, everybody geek, yo. Need to get go with an extremely see six midgets that be fire juggling. Maybe it's just me, cause my mind is struggling. Babes, boyfriend is acting like a clown. You know what's going down every time that we are down. Take a look through the peephole, yo. Everybody's getting geek, bro. Stop the hate and let them neeks know that we turn the club into a freak show. Turn the club to a freak show. Turn the club to a freak show. Turn the club, yeah, we turn the club to a freak show.
What the heck do you even cross-shop with this thing?
So on the current market, there is still quite a few cars on there that you probably wouldn't think of. There's stuff out like the Veloster N. We have stuff like the Golf R. We have the Mazda 3. And there's even more off the top of my head that I can't think of. But it is somewhat of a crowded
fun ones
market.
on the used market, right?
Yeah, in the used market, we have stuff on the luxury side, which is at kind of a much higher price point, but the Mercedes GLA 45 AMG.
Yeah.
We have what I think is the perfect predecessor to this, which is the Ford Focus RS, the only RS we've ever gotten in the US. And I mean the hot hatch market's huge. There's still the Focus ST.
Yeah.
But when it comes to all-wheel drive hot hatches, the direct competitor to this right now is probably the new Golf R.
Yeah, when you look back in time though, one of the ones when I was younger that was super popular is the WRX STI.
Yep, and they got rid of that, and now we just have the normal WRX.
Right. But what's funny is that this on paper, when you look at like the specs of it,
yeah,
very, very similar to that old STI.
Yeah, it is.
Don't think getting your hands on the Corolla GR will be an easy task, right? Because it's obviously an enthusiast car that's purpose-built. A lot of engineering went into this thing over 5 years.
And it's at a very good price point. This one is an entirely spec'd out core, and we have a MSRP of $40,220, I believe.
Somewhere in that range, but yeah, this is about as good as it gets when it comes to the core, right? It's got all the goodies on it. Everything that comes standard on the circuit is on the core that we're looking at today as we go through this video. But just know there's 5 years of development, so the true Toyota enthusiasts, they've been waiting for this thing.
Yes, they have.
The all-wheel drive system has over 20 years since the last introduction of a change, and the change is radical here. Coming across a GR Corolla isn't necessarily going to be an easy task. With only 5,000 to 6,000 estimated being produced in 2023, and obviously as you go up in the trims, you go to the circuit and the Monza, those numbers even decrease more. It's said that only around 1,500 of the circuits will be produced in 2023. But there is some good news recently, very recently.
What's that?
The circuit initially wasn't going to be released or an option in 2024, and Toyota has recently, here in March of 23, announced that it will continue that trim line.
Sweet.
One thing I think we all can agree on is that the Corolla GR, it looks so much better in person than any video or photo can capture.
It really does. You have to see it in person to realize just how buff this Corolla is. Like, this thing looks like it went to the gym. It is super wide up front. It looks like it has a factory wide body kit in back. And something that's interesting about that, if you actually look at the back wheel and look inside of it, you can see a wheel spacer, and that's not aftermarket. That is from the factory. So this comes from the factory with the wheel spacer. I'd like to see down in the comments below if you guys know of any other vehicles that come from the factory with wheel spacers.
Yeah,
and that's kind of weird.
Those wheel spacers actually are part of the reason that add up to the 2.5 inches wider that this aggressive Corolla GR is compared to the normal Corolla hatch.
Yeah, and now let's go up front here briefly because I want to talk about some of the functionality of this whole front end. So right here we actually have functional intake inlets that go directly to that cold air intake. Now from right here we actually have some functional brake cooling, functional cooling into the radiator, and intercooler, and there's just all sorts of real vents that are going on the front of the GR Corolla. Now if we actually move under that, the underside of the entire GR Corolla is pretty covered up.
Yeah.
just like a lot of high performance cars. Now that actually brings into play one of the issues that people with these are experiencing, and also not only with these, but the Yaris as well, which is the rear differential.
Right.
So the rear differential has been having issues with overheating, and the owner of this one, when doing donuts on a lake, actually experienced a message that popped up saying his rear differential is overheating. There is a company that is making a panel that kind of redesigns one of the back covers that covers that rear diff to allow it to shoot some more air up at it.
Now this Corolla GR is actually about 200 pounds heavier than the normal Corolla hatch, but they did everything in their power to bring that weight back down. One of the things being is the front cradle underneath. It's about 10 pounds, 11 pounds lighter than the normal Corolla's front cradle would be. And there's also all sorts of suspension and brake goodies that come with this high performance car. But that weight, additional weight, is contributing from the rear differential, which is the first time Toyota has redone that all-wheel drive system in about 20 years.
And something that's also cool about that all-wheel drive system, it's not just front biased. You can actually change where the power is going. So in track mode, we do a 50-50 split, we can do a 70-30 split, and I can't remember the other split, but it's on the screen right now.
And when we keep moving back from there, we get to the back of the Corolla, and that's where some other interesting points are, right? So we have 3 exhaust tips. That's how you know this is a Corolla GR. That's how you know there's more power. And the 3-cylinder isn't new to the Corolla. It was existing overseas in the Yaris GR. So we do have some proven reliability with that 3 cylinders operating in rallies at high RPM. So there's that Toyota reliability that everyone knows and loves. So the center exhaust is one of the reasons how they were able to boost up the Corolla GR's performance over the Yaris.
Which this makes almost 30 pounds of boost from the factory, which is just tremendous.
Incredible. And that's not the only thing they did to increase the horsepower. They didn't just crank up to the high 20 PSI range. They also did some internal engine modifications related to the more back pressure needed, some strengthening on the exhaust valves, stuff like that. So we get that awesome, very low rumble from the exhaust on startup, as well as when you go into the higher RPM range, that center exhaust opens up and this thing really comes alive. There's no artificial sound that's pumped into the Corolla. It's all natural and it sounds remarkably good. That 3-cylinder, why the heck would Toyota go with a 3-cylinder, not a 4-cylinder like everyone else, right?
I believe it was to be closer to the rally motor, is it not?
They wanted the spec of the motor to be the highest displacement possible, being within the specs of what the rally division are.
That's what it was.
Right? So with the 3-cylinder, they were able to do that, but they were also able to save about 40 pounds over what a 4-cylinder comparable motor would be.
Now, while we were in the back of this, let's bring up something else that you should mention that I haven't actually seen anybody else bring up, and that is the trunk space.
Yeah.
So the Toyota Corolla GR does feature that all-wheel drive system. So when you open up the trunk, you look at it and you'd think, well, you just pull up the cover and you can look down and throw some stuff down there. You actually can't. There is the battery under there, and then it is just an inclined trunk because of that all-wheel drive system. So there is not, like, when you open the trunk, what you see is what you get. It does not go any deeper than that.
There are so many things about the Corolla GR that you really, you can't necessarily see to appreciate. I mean, there's a lot more to the car than just the additional weld points or additional adhesion that went on in the factory. There's also, this might be the best license plate. You ready?
What?
Takumi.
What does that mean?
Takumi is it's a Japanese word for like the craftsman, the artisan, the guy that is the expert in the field. And that's the guy that's building the engine, right?
Yeah.
So they actually use this specialty factory to teach the next generation as well that these engines, these 3 cylinders, are being produced one at a time by the Takumi.
Okay.
Could be an awesome license plate.
That would be a very cool license plate.
Let's talk about what's really important about the GR inside and what it's like to drive.
Hopping into the back of the Corolla is a little bit more cramped than you would probably imagine. You do hit your butt kind of on the C-pillar getting in, and it is a little bit cramped back here, I'm not gonna lie. However, we do have a center armrest we can fold down with a couple cup holders in it. We also have a cup holder built into the door back here, so once you shut the door, You now have 2 cup holders for yourself, and it is pretty comfortable. It's a little bit cramped, but it's comfortable. Now let's get out of the back and get into where all the fun happens, the driver's seat. Getting in up here is very easy, just feels like a normal hatch. It's not very low to the ground. It's very easy to get in and out of. And when you're in here, it is pretty driver oriented actually. The shifter is sort of angled towards the driver, the e-brake right next to the driver. The steering wheel is very good. It's a little bit thin, however it has good 9 and 3. I do enjoy sitting back here, and it has a phenomenal digital gauge cluster. Now that I am sitting in here, one of the things I'd like to go over is just how good this shifter feels. So it just feels like a factory short throw. It's very good, very direct, very easy to use. Now, one of the other things that is a little bit awkward about the Corolla when you're driving it for a bit is there's no center armrest. They ditched the center armrest, so your arm, unless you're holding the shifter, you have nowhere to put it, and it's a little bit awkward.
What the Corolla GR does bring to the market is it reminds us that the automotive enthusiast still has some options, and that's what's awesome.
Yeah, the Corolla, it is truly an amazing vehicle. The Corolla GR is probably, in my opinion, the best hot hatch on the market right now when it comes to looks, when it comes to giving the consumer what they want, when it just comes to the overall package and the price point that it is at. I think the Corolla is just such an amazing vehicle, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of these on the road, more of them modified. This is going to be such a fun car in the enthusiast market.
Absolutely.
It was really fun being able to check it out today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video, and I hope to see you guys next time.